this could be the moment that changes everything.
Ferguson, Missouri, Sanford, Florida, Charleston, South Carolina, cities that are scarred. What they've come to represent, say protesters, is police misconduct or inherent bias or outright hatred. Demonstrators say they want change in how black people are perceived. In Charleston, shame, it seems, moved South Carolinians to bring down a flag that flew high above the cradle of Confederacy, and later other monuments of white supremacy across the South. Shame moved in weeks, what years and decades could not. The systems that allow police brutality, high rates of incarceration and arrests, greater disparities in healthcare, housing, and employment for blacks are much harder to dismantle. But to do that, say protesters, is to acknowledge the systematic discrimination. Born into the unrest of the late 1960s, I was raised in South Central Los Angeles, the product of an interracial union that my father celebrated and my mother to this day does not acknowledge. An early lesson for me came from my grandmother. Right or wrong, she warned me to steer clear of police officers. My father, a doctor at age 22, had placed his hopes in a senator running for president, campaigned with him, only to rush to his side when an assassin's bullet felled him moments after he won the California primary. When busing came to California to right the wrongs of unequal education, that little girl was me. Often, I didn't feel as though I fit in those white suburbs. My first job out of college was at the Los Angeles Times, and shortly after came the videotaped beating of Rodney King. We all became eyewitnesses then. Here was evidence to decades of claims. But the acquittal of 4 LAPD officers proved society sees something different. And yet, in that despair was hope too, in a pickup game of basketball between some neighborhood kids and 4 white police officers on break from patrol. I saw hope again in New Orleans a few years later, a city with the highest murder rate, watching first as a journalist and then as First Lady. The city found a way to root out bad cops, bad policing, and cut the overall violent crime rate by more than half. As Hurricane Katrina so ardently proved, the disparities still existed. Through reporting, I found the voices seeking to be agents of change. And in this instance, a movement recognizing that rooting out racism takes a lifelong commitment, an acknowledgement that its cloak of invisibility makes it far harder to recognize by those it does not impact. Everyone must see in America who she was and who she is in order to decide who she wants to be. We are living with the remnants of her original sin. We must face that and bear witness to the change that won't allow a next time.
Boy, Michelle, thank you for such a personal piece. I'm still stuck on the earlier line in your story where you said an interracial relationship that your mother doesn't acknowledge. Does she not acknowledge the relationship or acknowledge you? Both are very painful to hear to me.
No one on that side of my family knows who I am, knows I exist. And that's really, I guess, at the core of who I am as a journalist. Acknowledgement is power. And racism impacts me to this day in that way. Probably why I married a civil rights leader, a guy who's out there fighting every day to ensure intolerance is overcome.
This warrants another conversation. Thank you, Michelle. That'll do it for us. We'll see you on Monday. Boy.